Hi there, welcome to episode 2 of Kitchen Witchin', coming to you from the ugliest kitchen in America. I'm your host, Susie Bianco. It's great to have you back. Today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite side at the drive-thru, French fries. And baked French fries, which is an oxymoron. It doesn't really make sense. But as we established last time, I'm not good at naming things. So we're going to make some baked fries with no nation of origin, even though French fries aren't actually French. Anyway. So we're going to do this a couple different ways. We're going to make some sweet potato fries. We're going to make baked fries, which is Old Bay and garlic, because everything needs garlic. And we're going to make some just plain traditional, good old-fashioned steak fries. Before we go any further, anytime we talk about using hot oil, we need to talk about something called a smoke point. Alright, now smoke point is the temperature at which a certain oil will start to smoke and burn. Now, this is bad for a lot of reasons. One, because it will destroy anything that you make. It'll make your house stink, it'll fill your house up with smoke, but most importantly, burning oil causes significant amounts of carcinogens, and nobody wants that. So, as you can see from my very hastily assembled chart, we have oils with very high smoke points and very low smoke points. Now, as you can see down here, I have some low smoke point oils that you should avoid. Corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, flaxseed, walnut, things like that. Now, they're okay to use cold, as in like a salad dressing, but you don't want to put any heat to them because they have such low smoke points. They're going to cause damage very quickly. Now on the other end, we have something like refined avocado oil, refined peanut oil, which are fairly high temperatures that they will smoke and burn out. You don't really need to worry about them too much. We're not going to really be making anything in this show that's going to require heat that extreme when we're frying anything. But you can see here down at the other end of, usable convenient oils, we have vegetable oil, which is fairly low. I wouldn't want to go too far down from there. Now today we're going to be using canola oil, which has a smoke point of about 400. We're also going to be using extra virgin olive oil to bake with, which has a smoke point of between 375 and 400. So they're going to be very safe to work with because we're probably not going to go over 300, or at least not too far over 300, hopefully. So always check the smoke points whenever you're working with frying hot oils. It can be very dangerous, it can be very good and very quick and easy to make delicious food, but you always want to be careful because flinging hot oil around is always dangerous. The first time I tried to fry anything when I was in college, I actually turned the oil up so high that it flew out and melted the carpet in my mother's kitchen. But to be fair, that carpet was really ugly, and who puts carpet in their kitchen anyway, right? Oh my god. Okay, so we'll be back in a second, and we're going to start on a deep fry. Okay, we're back. Let's get started with our deep fry. Okay, now I took a russet potato and skinned it, as you can see, and normally I would cut this up off screen, but since we're making steak fries, I figured I would demonstrate the way that I cut them up generally. Now I know steak fries tend to be very thick and very wide. I don't necessarily like them like that. If you do, that's fine. You can just add a little extra time to your cooking. Now when you're cutting up vegetables, they're definitely not all going to be about the same size and the shape. But you just want to make sure that you have about the right area, the right amount of area, the right amount of thickness. Well, the same amount of thickness, the same amount of area. Just to ensure that they cook alike, so you don't have anything cooking for sooner than anything else, which is very important when you're deep frying because it's hard to fish out the ones that are overcooking faster than the ones that aren't. So yeah, you just want to make sure that they're about the same width, about the same area, and as much as you can. It's not always easy to do. Now I'm using, obviously, just one. I'm a bit of a French fry freak, so I have been known to eat multiple, like, 2 potatoes worth of French fries in one sitting. But that's, I know most people are not really that into French fries like I am, so I would say, one potato per person, maybe a little bit less, depending on the size. Just in case you're making for multiple people, just to keep that in mind. Alright, now the next thing we have to do is going to sound a little unusual, but we need to wash and dry these. Now the important thing when you're frying is you need to not have anything between the surface that you're cooking, the surface that is frying, and the oil. The problem with potatoes, especially russet potatoes and others in that category, is they're very, very starchy. That can be a good thing because it helps provide that great texture internally, but it can be a bad thing because all of the starch on the surface can cause it to fry incorrectly, and it will smoke the hell out of your kitchen. Nobody wants that. So the important thing to do is to rinse it out under water. Some people use cold water. I tend to go a little bit warmer. Some people will take a bowl, put it in, fill it up, and sort of stir them around a little bit to get all the starch out, and then dump it off the top. Personally, I like to just put it in a colander, go to the sink, and just give it a good wash, and stir it around. Now you want to make sure that you get all sides of all of the fries under the water as much as you can. And some water. You don't have to do it for too long, just as long as you give them a good rinse. And then what we're going to do is take a towel and dry them off. Also very important for when you're cooking things, when you're frying things, excuse me. Alright, we want to lay them down in a single line, single layer. Alright, this is how I do it. I wrap it up, and then wrap it up. Okay. And then roll it. This will help them dry out pretty well. I'm going to kind of grab it. Okay. That should be good. And now, in the meantime, what we're going to do is get our oil heated up. Now, for something like this, I like to use canola oil. We're not really going above 300 degrees, ideally, so we have about another 100 degrees of leeway there to get to the smoke point of canola oil. But canola is cheap, it has a nice average smoke point, and it has a nice neutral flavor. Unlike olive oil, you can use vegetable oil if you want, but again, the low smoke point can cause problems. Now, canola oil is interesting. Canola is not a vegetable. It's actually rapeseed oil, and it's Canadian, and the Canadian people who made this are like, nobody's gonna wanna eat that or use it for anything, because why would you? So they came up with the acronym canola that no one apparently officially knows what it means. It's a bit of a mystery. But anyway, now I'm using a nice big sauce pot with a nice open area. I have used smaller ones. They're easy to clean because I have a tiny microwave. But for this, we're going to just use a nice large pot. Now we're going to take our oil, and you want to fill it up to about a finger or two width above the potatoes, where the potatoes are going to sit. Just so you have a little bit of extra, so you make sure that everything is submerged fully. All right. Now we've got our canola oil. I'm gonna like keep it at a little over medium heat. And we're going to put in our trusty fry thermometer. It's frying and candy. Now you can see up here at 380 or 390 is where it says deep fry. We're not going to go that high. We don't need to be that high, even close. I like to keep it around the 260 mark, which does seem very low, and it is. But I like to let the potatoes cook fully inside before they brown on the outside. But we're going to give it it's about 15 minutes or so, roughly, depending on how much you put in. And then at the end of that 15 minutes, we're going to bump the heat up to a little bit closer to 300 to get that nice brown on the outside. So let's go ahead and put that in. Okay, and let that heat up. Okay. In the meantime, we can unroll our very patiently waiting potatoes. And now, I know we just put the oil on, but I do like to put the potatoes in early. I don't like to wait until it comes up to temperature. I'd rather put them in early, before the oil gets too hot, just so it doesn't splash out and burn anybody. Because, well, there's a reason I have aloe plants. So we're going to grab all these and toss them in. Okay, we're about 100 degrees off for where we want to be. And what we want to do is just sort of make sure these are all in a single layer. We don't want any crowding in on each other. So make sure we get a bit of a more even cook. Oh, no, I was wrong. We're at 110, people. So it's going to take a little bit of time, obviously, to get where we need to go. And you can turn the heat up, let it heat up, turn the burner down a little bit to keep it steady where you need to. Obviously, whenever you are cooking with oil or candy making, adding ingredients will definitely significantly change the temperature. So you always, you never want to just camp down at one burner position. You're definitely going to want to play it by ear. That is the thing I like about gas stoves. It is a little bit more adaptive to different things like that. A little bit more on the fly than electric. Not that I don't appreciate electric stoves, but okay. So we're at 130, and we're starting to get a little bit of cooking in here. Okay. Okay, we're up over 160, so we have about another 90 degrees. I'd say roughly cooking this way would take about 40 minutes almost, and that's skinning, cutting, rinsing, drying, and the cooking part actually itself. So it's not too bad time-wise. It's going up pretty quick. We're almost at 200, so I'm gonna start backing the heat down a little bit. And as you can see, it's already starting to bubble up a little bit. Now, I originally bought this to make bagels and pretzels. It's a $2 cat litter scoop. It's never been used for cat litter, obviously. But I found that it works really well for French fries too, because of its unique shape. And honestly, I've used these different ones before for cat litter, and they actually kind of suck for cat litter, so go figure. All right, we're almost at 220. That's pretty excellent. We're gonna back down a little bit more. I like to keep it usually on the large burner. It's on my stove top. It's a little bit over medium, and that's usually pretty safe for me. Okay, we're at 230 now. We're closing in on 260 here, and we've already had some time for the potatoes to start cooking a little bit. Now, at this stage, you want to be careful and not over stir them, because they're starting to cook down, the heat's starting to come into them, and they're going to start to get very, very, well, they're going to fall apart really easily. So you want to be very gentle with them. Just, don't stir vigorously. Just move them around very lightly for a little while. All right. I think we're good there on the temperature. We're going to put that aside. And just make sure none of them are clumping up on themselves. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to let that cook for about, like I said, about 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, depending on the doneness of the potatoes. And we don't need to keep stirring regularly, just every few minutes, give it a look, move stuff around, turn stuff over, but be very gentle. we're back. It's been about 10 minutes. It was a small batch, so it's not too bad. It's been about 10 minutes, and we're getting nice and starting to get nice and brown. They're nice, tough, cooked in the middle, not breaking apart. So what we're going to do is turn it up on high a little bit. Now that since they're cooked through, what we want to do is get the outside nice and brown, so that we don't have to worry about overcooking the outside and having the inside still be a little bit on the soft side. Okay. So now I turned it up a good bit. It's around 300 or so. And this is where you really want to keep them moving around. Keep stirring, but be very careful because this is very hot oil. And as you can see, they're starting to get really lovely and brown. This is exactly what we want. You can pull some out to see the color in the light. Keep going a little bit. They are looking very good though. Okay. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty perfect. So we're going to turn off the heat. And then we're going to take just a plain bowl, or you can use a colander, you can use a plate. Take some paper towels and put it in. Now I like to do it this way because the paper towels soak up the excess oil. Okay. Then we're going to grab our salt. Okay. Bring it back over here. And let it drip for just a second and toss it onto the towel. Let's get everything out. There we go. This does sound a little bit work better on a plate, but it is messy and I do tend to fling fries everywhere, so we're going to just do it in a bowl. And we're going to take, what is that, about a teaspoon or so of salt. Give it a sprinkle. And then put the rest on. Just stir it around, mix it up a little bit, so you don't, oh, see there, I'm throwing them off the bowl too. Right, give it a little bit of a mix up there, just to make sure you get the salt everywhere. And there you go. And that is a beautifully baked, beautifully salted, nice brown French fry. It's not too hard at all, right? Alright, when we come back, we're going to do our baked bay fries, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Next up is our baked bay fries. Now, as you can see, probably, hopefully, I've already washed, skinned, and cut up our potatoes, just like our last batch of potatoes. Unfortunately, you may have noticed that the video and audio quality of the rest of the episode is not as good as it should be. That's because my camera, my not super expensive, but expensive enough camera, decided to crap out on me after an episode and a half. Not great. A little annoyed. But we're going to keep going and, well, see what happens. All right, so as I said, we've got our next batch of fries. So what we want to do first is get our oven started. Now, even when my oven worked, which it will again, I swear, eventually. But even when it worked, I still like to use my toaster oven for this because it just seemed to work a little bit better. It heated up quicker. It was just a better option. So we're going to do that again. Take that one already in there. All right, now this only goes up to 450, which is fine. You want to do 450, you can go up to 475. That's fine. So we're going to cook it for about 30 to 40 minutes. And let's get this started. Okay. Now I've taken my pan and I've already put some parchment paper in it. I just think that that's a little bit easier to deal with. And the cleanup is much easier too. Now you can do this with a bowl. You can do this with a plastic bag. I tend to prefer the plastic freezer bags. I'm not a fan of single-use plastics, obviously. None of us should really be. But I do find it much, much easier to do this in a plastic bag than I do in a bowl. So we're going to take our bag. I usually just buy like store brand gallon freezer bags. They work for whatever. Put in our potatoes. And we're going to take some olive oil this time. And I would say about 1/4 cup per potato. Although, honestly, I usually just kind of eye it up and make it the way I want. But we just want enough so that we get a nice coating on everything. A little bit more. All right. Then, as usual, salt. About a teaspoon or so, again, per potato. And with our pepper, maybe a 1/2 teaspoon. Although you know me, I like to go a little heavy on the pepper. And then, let's see, I did have a spoon out here. I don't know what happened to it. Okay. So we're going, oh, there's my teaspoon. All right. About a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. You can leave the paprika out if you don't want it. That's fine. It's kind of just optional because there is a lot of paprika in our Old Bay. Well, maybe not a lot, but a decent enough amount. Okay, that's fine. All right, now we have our garlic powder. You can go heavy on the garlic. I always go heavy on the garlic. I think that goes without saying. And about a teaspoon. And then we come to the star of the show, our Old Bay seasoning. Now, Old Bay is sort of a spice mix. It's got celery seed, paprika. We're just adding a little bit more paprika. Red and black peppers. It has a little bit of a bite to it, but not too much. So you can go a little crazy with it if you want to. All right. Now comes the real reason why I like to use plastic bags over bowls. All you have to do is seal it up. There you go. And give it a good mix. Definitely keep things clean. Just make sure that you get all the spice onto all of the fries. There we go. All right. We're going to grab our pan, which I have some parchment paper on. Open this up. And dump it on. We have a lot of flavor in there still, so sometimes I like to just squeeze it out. So we don't want to waste any olive oil. Okay. All right, now make sure you just arrange these on a single layer so they can cook evenly. And there we go. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to put these in for about 30 to 40 minutes at 450 to 475, as I said. And we're going to pull them out. Well, we're going to pull them out in about 15 to 20 minutes, give them a turn so they cook evenly and they brown evenly. And also we can get a kind of a reading on how much longer they need to stay in the oven. So we're going to put these in. Oops, the right way. All right, and we'll be back to, excuse me, give them a flip. Okay, we're back. It's been about 20 minutes, so we're going to go check on our baked fries. Still sounds weird. All right, they're looking pretty good. They're looking pretty close to done, so let me just give them a quick turn here. As you can see, they fall apart sometimes a little bit. They're right in that middle stage where they're cooked. They're cooking, but they're not quite cooked through. Okay. All right. Now it looks good. We're going to go back in. I say another 15 to 20 minutes. We're right around the halfway point. We'll check back in then. All right, we're back. It's been about 15 minutes, so it's about time to pull our baked fries out and see how they look. Yeah, they look pretty good. And they smell excellent. Well, I think we're going to have to call it quits for this episode because of my technical difficulties with my camera equipment. I think we might just split this up into 2 episodes. We'll call this part 1, where we work with our russets, and then we'll move into sweet potatoes in part 2, when hopefully all of these equipment problems are behind me. Fingers crossed. Who knows? Me and technology, it's either wonderful or it's terrible. You know what I mean? So we're going to say goodbye for now, and hopefully next week I will put together part 2. Again, fingers crossed. I don't know. Maybe 2 weeks. I apologize for all of this. This was just kind of came out of nowhere. So, again, this is Kitchen Witchin', episode 2, coming to you from the Ugliest Kitchen in America, and I'm your host. And thank you so much for cooking along with me tonight. We'll see you next time. Bye.